Welcome to our PHP web course. In this class, we will cover several topics: includes, constants, a postback, redisplaying form values, and the header function. I'd like to talk about a concept of a web page template. A web page template is a web page in and of itself. However, different parts of it automatically generate content. That is accomplished by reusing certain web page elements that may be common across the entire website. To better demonstrate this, let's take a look at this wireframe. You see that there is a header section, and below that there is a banner, and at the bottom there is a footer. Now, the content on every page in this website may change, but there are certain parts of it that typically remain the same. Therefore, we can build a template for the web page. So let's further look at this example. On the left, I have some HTML content, and I have enclosed everything in the top red square and just the footer and the ending elements in the bottom square. Now, technically, you could use that code as a template, because every page would have those elements on it. Now, if you look to the right, we see that we have eliminated some of the code. In the first red square, we only have the header and the navigation, and in the bottom red square, we only have the footer. In my opinion, this is a little bit more realistic. Normally, in the head section of the document, you would have a unique title for every page. Granted, you can generate that using PHP, but supposing you had some external style sheets that were unique to the page. In that case, the template on the left would not be a suitable solution. Also, at the end of the page, you may see some JavaScript code. Again, that may not exist on every page. So therefore, by not including the ending elements, we make this template on the right a little more flexible. In PHP, we have an include and a require statement. Those statements are used for generating template code. What they do is they take all the code or markup that you would want in that part of the template, and they would allow you to copy it into the pages. This is very useful when you want to include the same PHP or the same HTML on every page or on many pages. This is the syntax for both the include and the require, and I have written it in several different ways. So we have the include statement, and in parentheses we have the name of the file. Technically, you don't need to use the parentheses. The name of the file can be enclosed in double quotes or single quotes. The file can be a PHP file or an HTML file. If the code to be included contains PHP, then it has to have a .php extension. If it is pure HTML, then please only use a .html extension. The include and require statements are almost identical, except if something happens and they do not load. The require will produce a fatal error and the script will stop. The include will only produce a warning and the script will continue. So going back to my example on the left, we are going to take the HTML header code, which also contains the navigation, and place that into an include file. We are also going to take the footer code and place that into an include file. On the right, you see how that would look in your web page. You would see the include statement for both header.html and later on in the page for footer.html. I would like to point out that the web page that contains the includes must have a PHP extension. That is a PHP page. It is executing PHP code. The include files only contain HTML. You do not need to add a .php extension. Every time the server sees a .php extension, it opens that file up and it parses it in order to execute the code. If there is no code in there to execute, but yet you use the PHP extension, you are wasting precious server resources. In PHP, we have constants. A constant is very similar to a variable. It is an identifier for a value. Unlike a variable, the value cannot change. A constant does not begin with the $sign, and it is typically written in uppercase. It does not have to be written in uppercase, but that seems to be the standard, so that it is easy to identify it. Again, a constant is used for items whose values remain the same. Certain mathematical values, such as pi, does not change. The type of currency, USD, does not change. The number of months in a year, the number of days in a year, the number of weeks in a year will probably not change, so those types of values would be safe to use for a constant. You create a constant using the define function, and it takes 3 parameters: the name of the constant, the value to what you are assigning, and a Boolean value to indicate whether it is case insensitive or not. The default is false, meaning it is not case insensitive. Here is an example of using a constant. Here I have the define function, the name of the constant, and the value to which I am assigning. Notice that both of those parameters are in quotations. Now I have an echo statement to display a string and the constant. So I'm saying the US currency is USD. USD is the value of the constant. Notice I am concatenating that expression. Notice I am not placing the name of the constant inside the string as you might do so with a variable. We learned earlier that when you use the echo or print statement and you have variables inside double quotations, that PHP will automatically interpret and display the value for that variable. Remember, this is a constant, it is not a variable. If you were to place it inside quotations, you would see the name of the constant, not the value. Therefore, if you are doing expressions in which you want to use that constant, you need to concatenate.